The only reason Maya Carter survived that hospital was because she trusted her instincts more than the people holding the scalpel. She arrived at North Ridge Medical Center in a black chauffeured SUV, 9 months pregnant, scheduled for a C-section. Her husband, Daniel, held her hand as they walked in. Her custom maternity dress, diamond wedding set, and quiet confidence said one thing: money wasn't her problem. But the way the receptionist glanced at her, then at the clipboard, said something else. "Name?" the woman asked flatly. "Maya Carter. Scheduled C-section, 10 a.m. Dr. Lang." The receptionist didn't look up. "Insurance. Private. Carter Holdings plan. It should be on file." The woman's lips tightened. "If it's not approved, you'll need to sign a self-pay agreement." "Surgery like this you're looking at?" Maya felt it. That familiar shift. That tone they used when they assumed a black woman couldn't afford anything that didn't come with a payment plan. She forced a calm smile. "My insurance is fine. Please check the file." The receptionist sighed, as if doing her job was a favor. She typed slowly, eyes narrowing at the screen. "Nothing's showing. Maybe Medicaid." Daniel stepped closer. "Run the name again." "Sir, we're not on Medicaid. We own a company that pays for its own plan." The woman shrugged. "Look, if the system isn't showing it, there's nothing I can do. You can sit and wait. But if something happens and the baby needs NICU care, you'll be responsible. Maybe call the county clinic next time." Maya felt her heart pound, not from fear of the bill, but from the audacity. She reached into her bag, pulled out her phone, and quietly hit record. If they were going to treat her like she didn't matter, she was going to remember every second. The nurse who came for her was no better. "Vitals," the nurse said, not bothering to introduce herself. She tightened the blood pressure cuff too hard, didn't look Maya in the eyes, didn't explain a thing. "You late to your appointment. That's why everyone's rushing." "My Uber driver was on time," Maya thought. "Your front desk wasn't." Aloud, she said, "I was here 30 minutes early. I've been sitting in the waiting area while they checked my insurance." The nurse sniffed. "Probably some issue with coverage. Happens." She looked at Maya's braids. "You got someone to help you with baby supplies? Hospitals charge for everything. You don't want surprises." Maya stared at her. "I'm fine." "Everybody says that until the bill hits," the nurse replied, rolling the bed toward the pre-op area. "You should have gone to county. Less drama if you can't pay." The words hit harder than the bumps in the hallway. Maya angled her phone, pretending to scroll, but she kept the camera open, recording. Faces. Voices. Counts. She didn't know exactly why yet, but something in her said, "Document this." Pre-op was a blur of cold air, thin gowns, and rushed instructions. A younger nurse entered, didn't introduce herself either. "We're running behind. Sign these forms." She thrust a clipboard into Maya's hands. Maya scanned the pages. "These aren't the forms my OB discussed." "It's standard," the nurse snapped. "You want the surgery today or not?" "Where's Dr. Lang?" Maya asked. "He always sees me before any procedure." The nurse kept moving. "He's busy in another or you're on the schedule. If you don't sign, we'll have to bump you." Daniel frowned. She has every right to ask questions. "Can we get someone to explain this?" The nurse rolled her eyes. "Look, the Medicaid patients don't make this complicated. They just sign." There it was again. That assumption. That casual disrespect dipped in prejudice. Maya's fingers tightened around the pen. She breathed and thought. "Say that again." The nurse blinked. "What?" "About Medicaid patients." The nurse shifted. "I'm just saying people who don't have fancy plans know they can't be picky." Maya lowered her gaze so they wouldn't see the fire in her eyes. The recording app on her phone kept rolling. Their words were no longer just insults. They were evidence. Something in her gut whispered that this wasn't just about rudeness. It was about safety. The anesthesiologist finally walked in, glancing at his watch. "Okay, Maya, we're doing a spinal block. Quick and easy. Any questions?" He sounded bored. "Yes," she said. "I want to confirm the dosage and what you're using. I had a reaction years ago." He flipped a page. You'll be fine. Maya watched his pen hover over the consent form. I need you to listen, she insisted. I had complications with anesthesia before. It's in my file. He sighed. Ma'am, I've been doing this for 20 years. You're low risk. Low risk, she thought. Black women are never low risk in your numbers. Aloud, she said, Can you read the previous note in my chart? He tapped the folder, impatient. We don't have time for this. We have 3 other cases lined up. If you're going to be difficult, we can reschedule for another day. Her surgery, her baby, her life, treated like an inconvenience. Daniel spoke up. She's not being difficult. She's asking you to read her chart. The anesthesiologist stared at him, then at Maya. Look, I know you're anxious. You people always think. Maya's heart dropped at the phrase. You people. She met his eyes, calm but ice cold. Finish that sentence. He stopped, realizing what he'd said, or almost said. We're done arguing. Do you want this surgery or not? Her phone was still recording. His tone, his impatience, his disregard. It all sank into one terrifying thought. If they were this dismissive now, what would happen when she was unconscious? They wheeled her toward the OR. Bright lights. White ceilings. The smell of antiseptic. Maya's body trembled, not just from fear of surgery, but from fear of being at the mercy of people who had already decided she didn't deserve respect, or safety, or time. The last face she saw before they parked her gurney was a surgical tech who looked her over and muttered to another staff member, another one. They always show up with drama. Another one. Like she was a type. A stereotype. A problem. Her chest tightened. Her eyes stung. For a second, she thought about saying, forget it. Let's go home. But the baby kicked, reminding her why she was there. She squeezed Daniel's hand. If anything feels wrong, don't let them brush it off, she whispered. He nodded, jaw clenched, eyes wet. I won't. I promise. As they prepared the spinal block, she angled her phone under the blanket. She couldn't film everything in the OR, but she could capture audio. The voices. The orders. The comments. Her mind made a quiet decision. If they tried to erase her, she'd make sure the world heard every second. The needle touched her back. The numbness spread. Her vision blurred. And just before everything went fuzzy, she heard someone say, just hurry. She's not VIP. We've got real donors waiting. Maya's last thought before the world went white was simple, sharp, and furious. You picked the wrong black woman to underestimate. Maya woke up drowning in pain. C-section patients expect discomfort. This felt like knives. It felt like someone had left something wrong inside her. Her body screamed, but the room treated her like background noise. Her first instinct was to reach for her stomach. Tubes. Bandages. A fire under her skin. She gasped. Something's wrong, she whispered. It hurts. It really hurts. A nurse glanced at the monitor, not at her face. You just came out of surgery. Pain is normal. Press the button if you want meds. Maya pressed. Nothing changed. Please, she said through clenched teeth. This is not normal. I feel wrong. The nurse shrugged. You're fine. Your vitals are okay. First-time moms always panic. Maya blinked. I'm not a first-time mom. The nurse didn't respond. She was already halfway out the door. The betrayal stung, not from a friend, but from a system that insisted black women were exaggerating, dramatic, too loud, too sensitive, even when their bodies were breaking. Her baby wasn't in the room yet. Her husband wasn't there. Just the ache. And the memory of every dismissive word before they cut her open. Her phone lay on the table, screen dark but battery full. She reached for it with shaking fingers, and hit record again. Daniel walked in minutes later, carrying their daughter. His smile cracked when he saw Maya's face. Hey, he whispered. Look at her. She's perfect. Maya forced her eyes open. She is, she breathed. But something's wrong with me. He studied her expression. He'd seen her handle business deals, family deaths, legal battles. He knew her pain threshold. This was different. What did you tell them? He asked. That it hurts. Too much. They don't care. Daniel's jaw tightened. He stepped into the hallway. Maya heard his voice rise, heard the rustle of nurses, the clipped responses. "She's fine," they told him. "Vitals are okay. She's just anxious." Black women often have a different pain expression. Different. That word sat like poison in Maya's chest. Daniel came back in, frustrated. "They're saying everything looks normal. No internal bleeding. No complications." "How do they know if they won't check?" she whispered. She clicked save on the recording and opened a new one. Every excuse, every dismissal, every "she's fine" would be documented. Not to post. Not yet. But to protect herself from the gaslighting she already felt creeping in. Because that was part of the cruelty. They hurt you, then tried to convince you that you imagined it. Hours passed. The pain didn't dull. Maya couldn't stand fully. She felt dizzy. Her incision burned like it was tearing. She requested a doctor. Not a nurse, not a resident. A doctor. They sent her a resident anyway, barely out of med school, eyes tired. He skimmed her chart for less than a minute. "Your hemoglobin is a little low, but nothing alarming. You're postpartum. This is expected." "My legs feel cold," Maya said. "My chest feels heavy." He checked the monitor again instead of her body. "Numbers look fine. Try to rest. Stress can make pain worse." "What about my previous reaction to anesthesia?" she asked softly. He hesitated. "I don't see anything noted here." Her blood ran colder than her legs. They didn't read it. They didn't include it. All her warnings. All her questions. All her insistence. Deleted or ignored. Betrayal wasn't always loud. Sometimes it was a missing line in a chart that could cost you your life. She swallowed hard. "I told them. Twice." The resident smiled politely, already backing away. "Try to focus on your beautiful baby. We'll run more labs in the morning." When he left, she whispered to Daniel, "If I die, don't let them say I was complicated. They're the ones making this dangerous." He grabbed her hand, eyes wet. "Don't say that. You're not going anywhere." But fear had already moved in, sitting heavy on her chest like a second patient. The night nurse shift changed. A new nurse came in, Latina, early 30s, eyes tired but softer. She checked the monitor, then looked at Maya's face, really looked. "You don't look okay," the nurse said quietly. Maya almost cried from relief. "I'm not. The pain is bad. I feel cold and dizzy." The nurse touched her forehead. "You're clammy." She glanced at the 4. "When was your last full set of labs?" "They said morning," Maya whispered. The nurse paused. Her jaw tightened. "I'll be right back," she said. Maya watched her leave and thought, will she actually come back, or will the system swallow her too? 10 minutes later, the nurse returned with a portable ultrasound machine and a different energy, a quiet urgency. "I'm not a doctor," she said, "but something doesn't feel right. I'm going to check your abdomen while I page the on-call." Maya's eyes filled. "Thank you." The nurse moved the probe over Maya's belly. Her expression shifted. She didn't say what she saw. She didn't have to. Her face said it clearly. There was something inside that shouldn't be there. Rising fluid. Internal bleeding. The kind of thing low-risk women weren't supposed to have. The kind of thing black women died from when nobody listened. The nurse hit a button on the wall. "I need the on-call surgeon. Now." For the first time since the surgery, someone moved quickly, for her. The on-call surgeon burst in, not Dr. Lang. Tall, middle-aged, stern. He studied the ultrasound, then Maya's lab results. The quiet room exploded into motion. "Prep or two," he barked. "We've got a postpartum hemorrhage. She's been bleeding internally for hours." Maya's heart thudded. Hours. Hours while they told her she was fine. Hours while they implied she was dramatic. Hours while her body was slowly draining and they dismissed it as anxiety. Daniel went pale. "What do you mean hours?" "She's been telling you." The surgeon cut him off, focused on the crisis. "We'll talk later. Right now we need to fix this." They rushed to unhook tubes, red tag her chart, push her bed out of the room. Maya clutched her phone, thumb shaking, recording the chaos. Her body shook from fear and blood loss. but her mind held one thought. They almost killed me because they decided I wasn't worth listening to. As they raced her down the hallway, the last thing she saw before the doors swung shut was the day nurse, the dismissive one, standing to the side, eyes wide, face pale. For once, she had nothing to say. Maya survived the second surgery. She woke up in ICU, weaker, lighter, like part of her had been scooped out. The surgeon explained in clipped phrases, internal bleeding, delayed recognition, near transfusion crisis. "You're lucky," he said. "Another hour or two and—" He didn't finish. But Maya lay there, staring at the ceiling, listening to the word echo. Lucky that one nurse finally cared enough to check. Lucky that her body screamed loudly enough. Lucky that she didn't become another black woman whose death was wrapped in phrases like underlying condition and unforeseen complication. When he left, Daniel sat by her bed, eyes red. "I almost lost you," he whispered. "You almost did," she replied. Her voice was raspy but steady. "Because they decided I wasn't important." He brushed her hair back, hand trembling. "What do we do now?" Maya turned her head slowly, eyes burning with a different kind of fire. "We make sure this never happens to another black woman in this hospital," she said. "And we don't ask for permission." She opened her phone and scrolled through the recordings. The front desk. The nurses. The anesthesiologist. The dismissals. The comments. Every second was a brick. She was already building something with them. Maya didn't just recover. She strategized. By the time she could walk without wobbling, she had folders of evidence, audio files, notes, timestamps, lab reports, texts from Daniel, even screenshots of her missing allergy flag in the digital chart. She wasn't just a patient anymore. She was a wealthy black woman with receipts, a business brain, legal counsel on speed dial, and a rage that had found purpose. The hospital scheduled a patient experience review meeting. They expected a quiet, grateful woman who wanted an apology and maybe a discount. What they got was Maya Carter in a tailored black suit, scar hidden under silk, eyes sharp. The conference room held the hospital administrator, risk manager, head of OB, legal rep, and Dr. Lang, who suddenly looked much smaller than his polished website photo. "Ms. Carter," the administrator began. "First, we're glad you and your baby are okay. We understand there were concerns about your care." Maya pressed play on her phone. The receptionist's voice filled the room. "Maybe Medicaid? You might want the county clinic." Next recording. The nurse. "The Medicaid patients don't make this complicated. They just sign." Next clip. The anesthesiologist. "If you're going to be difficult, we can reschedule. You people always think." Silence dropped like a weight. Maya let it sit. Let them feel it. Then she spoke, voice calm. "These are not concerns. This is a pattern. This is bias. This is negligence. And it almost cost me my life." The legal rep shifted. "We understand your frustration, but—" She cut him off. "Don't dismiss this as emotion. I have lab timestamps showing internal bleeding long before anyone checked. I have a missing anesthesia alert that I reported multiple times. I have the name of the nurse who ignored my pain and the resident who never read my file." She leaned forward. "This isn't just about me. It's about every black woman who walked into this building and wasn't believed." Tension thickened. The power dynamic was shifting and they felt it. The administrator tried the soft plea. "What are you asking for, Ms. Carter?" Maya had thought about that question during every painful step of recovery. "I'm not here for a payout," she said. "I can buy this entire building if I want. This is what I want." She slid a folder across the table. Inside, a proposal. Number 1. Immediate, mandatory implicit bias and maternal health training for all staff in OB, ER, and ICU. Not a 2-hour slideshow. A real program with external oversight. Number 2. The removal or reassignment of individuals directly responsible for my near-death experience. The ones on these recordings, she added, tapping her phone. Number 3. The creation of a Black Maternal Health Advocacy Council, patients, community leaders, and medical experts, with real power to review complaints and shape protocols. She paused, then delivered the last piece. And number 4, I will fund it. The room blinked. The administrator frowned. Will fund it? Yes, Maya said. Through the Carter Foundation. A 7-figure grant, to start. But with conditions. Full transparency. Annual public reporting on outcomes disaggregated by race. And my team gets a permanent seat at the table. Dr. Lang finally spoke, voice shaky. You're asking us to admit legal liability in writing. That's complicated. Maya met his eyes. I'm asking you to stop hiding behind complicated while black women die. The legal rep cleared his throat. If this goes public. Maya leaned back. If this goes public, it won't just be the lawsuit that hurts you. I have 3 million followers across my platforms, a husband who runs a media company, and friends on the board of 2 health equity orgs. I can make this hospital a national headline by tomorrow morning. She let that sink in, then softened her tone, just enough. Or, she continued, we can make you a national model for how to fix this. They stared at her, suddenly understanding. She wasn't bluffing. She had the money, the reach, and the will. They had a choice, fight her and lose in slow motion, or join her and pretend it was their idea. Weeks later, changes started. The receptionist disappeared from the front desk. The dismissive nurse was reassigned pending review. The anesthesiologist took a sudden leave of absence. Internal memos went out about new initiatives, patient-centered reforms, and equity commitments. But Maya wasn't interested in pretty language. She watched the numbers. She sat in the first training session, not as a victim, but as a funder. Doctors, nurses, and techs shifted in their seats as a black maternal health expert put up slide after slide. Black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related causes. Pain complaints dismissed. Symptoms minimized. Non-compliance, labels hiding provider bias. The trainer played anonymized audio clips. Staff in the room winced. They sounded a lot like Maya's recordings. Maya raised her hand. I'm one of those numbers, she said. I'm sitting here because one nurse went against the culture and believed me. The rest of you almost made my husband a single father. Silence wrapped the room. Bias isn't just slurs, she continued. It's whose pain you believe, whose chart you read, who you assume is dramatic. Every decision you make in this building can be life or death for someone who looks like me. Her words didn't fix everything, but they cracked something open. Outside the hospital, Maya moved louder. She launched a podcast series, Her Heartbeat Matters, stories of black women's medical experiences, from microaggressions to near death. Episodes went viral. She started a scholarship fund for black doulas and midwives. She partnered with community clinics for free Know Your Rights in the Hospital workshops. She funded research on black maternal mortality in their city, insisting on plain language reports the public could actually understand. Her own story became the opening episode. She didn't name the hospital at first. She didn't have to. The message was bigger than one building. She talked about walking in wealthy and still being treated like she was disposable. About being underestimated in the one place where her life should have been valued most. She talked about love, Daniel's frantic advocacy in the hallway, the nurse who broke the silence, the child whose first days were wrapped in her mother's fight to live. She talked about betrayal, of a system that spoke the language of care while quietly deciding who was worth the effort. She talked about injustice, not as a statistic, but as the ache in her scar every time she remembered the phrase, you people. And she talked about the comeback, not just surviving but changing the rules. Months passed. North Ridge Medical Center started publishing quarterly data. Complaints from black patients dropped. Maternal complications began to decline. The hospital quietly updated its website, highlighting its innovative partnership with the Carter Foundation. Some called it PR. Maya called it progress, with receipts. One afternoon, she returned to the hospital, not as a patient, but as a speaker. The auditorium was full, medical students, residents, nurses, doctors, admin staff. She wore a simple dress, her scar hidden, her daughter's tiny bracelet on her wrist as a reminder of why she started. She told them her story, Not with tears, but with clarity. "I'm not here because I hate this place," she said. "I'm here because I refuse to let it keep doing what it did to me. I had money, power, a loud voice, and I still almost died. Imagine the women who don't." She looked around the room. "Every time a black woman walks into your hospital, you have a choice. See her as a stereotype, or see her as somebody's whole world." She paused, letting the weight settle. "I was the patient you underestimated," she finished. "Now I'm the woman who will never let you forget what that almost cost." That night, back home, Daniel watched her record a video for Love-Hate Story Chronicles. The title appeared on the screen, "The Hospital That Underestimated Her." Maya faced the camera, voice steady. "This is not just a story about racism," she said. "It's a story about what happens when a black woman survives it and decides to change the system that tried to kill her." She hit save, then upload. Somewhere, another black woman was packing a hospital bag, heart tight with fear she couldn't fully name. Maybe she'd see this video. Maybe she'd walk into her hospital a little more prepared. Maybe she'd demand to be heard, refuse to be dismissed, insist on her own survival. And maybe, just maybe, the next hospital that thought about underestimating her would remember Maya Carter first.